This is Kelso Sturgeon. Thank you for joining me for another session of NFL Handicapping 101. Today's report is all about the NFL and the games today. A couple of thoughts before we get to it. Good thoughts. I'm on a 22-5 run with my last 4 days play in football and basketball. Last weekend, 6-1 in the NFL, and that includes the 50-unit, winning 50-unit NFL Game of the Week with the Tampa Bay Bucks. Got a giant win with Philadelphia and that blowout at Washington. I intend to keep right on rolling this week. You know, you walk into a Las Vegas book this week and there's a lot of chatter about football, especially the NFL, among the patrons, and I've never heard anybody or any group of people, so enamored with the Philadelphia Eagles now because of their big win at Washington. And I can tell right now that some of these guys have already bet their money on Philadelphia, laying the 3 in the Sunday night game, and that many others are going to do just the same thing. A bookmaker told me today that probably 50% of his parlays that have already been made in the NFL include or end up on the Eagles minus the 3. Well, you know, I don't want to be a contrarian for no reason at all, but I'd like you to think a little bit about what this game is all about. This is not to say that I'm saying you shouldn't bet on Philadelphia, nor that you should take the 3 and the New York Giants. But let me explain something to you which to me is not a theory but an absolute truth, and that is the bounce theory of handicapping. Now let's see what we have here. This game is, first of all, is more even than it looks. Now, under the bounce theory, it simply says this: a team that played a great game, won, and played far above its performance profile is a strong candidate in its next game to fall off the cliff and play very poorly. Now, it also says that a team that plays far below its performance profile and plays terribly and loses is a strong candidate to bounce back and play what may be its best game of the year. So what we have in this game between the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles are teams bouncing in the opposite direction. You know, Washington couldn't believe it, and I still couldn't believe it either, that Philadelphia destroyed them 59-28. It was absolutely a laugher. At the same time, the New York Giants, home, favored, got beat up by the Dallas Cowboys 33-20. So now you have Philadelphia coming into this game in a profile that says it will bounce downward. You have the New York Giants coming into this game in a profile that says they will bounce upward, and it leaves a giant question. You know, as good as Philadelphia looked and as bad as the Giants looked, if you believe in the bounce profile or the bounce theory, you've got to take the Giants plus the 3 in this game and look for them to even win it straight up. Now, this is just food for thought. This is not a recommendation. All I'm saying is you must think about a game like this before you bet the house, the entire bankroll on the Philadelphia Eagles just because they look so good. Because they are in the profile, the Giants are in the opposite profile. You know, I had a lot of questions about this week's NFL games, and I'll just share them briefly with you. You know, I'm wondering, why is Pittsburgh just a 7-point favorite over the Oakland Raiders? I don't quite understand that. Green Bay is a 3-point favorite at Minnesota, and the biggest question in my mind, the Minnesota Vikings might be done. They certainly are playing far below their profile consistently, and they're certainly not a bounce candidate. I also wonder how Cincinnati can be a 5.5-point favorite over anybody, including Buffalo, which is just 1-8 this season. And last but not least, will Carolina, and I'll make a bet with somebody on this if I could find anybody who would take it, will Carolina, a terrible offensive team, score one single point against the Baltimore Ravens? And I think that's a legitimate question. The Panthers have no offense. The Ravens have a lockdown defense. And by the way, the Ravens come into this game a 10-point favorite off a loss last week, which makes it double trouble for Carolina. Once again, if I could make a bet this week and get the right price, I'd bet that Carolina doesn't score a single point. These are just my thoughts. Use them as they benefit you in whatever manner, and just keep in mind that all my selections are available right now on this website. We're at 1-800-755-2255. All major credit cards are selected. I leave you with just this last thought. The less you bet, the more you lose when you win.